Hello and welcome to another episode of my show through a trauma-informed lens, Soma, Psyche and Soul. As always, I want to warmly welcome you within this space. Thank you so much for joining me here. Today, I want to talk to you about something that is at the heart of everything that I do, all the work that I do, and is the core of my own personal journey as well. And that something is trust. When I talk about trust, there are two aspects of trust that I'm talking about. The first one is the self-trust, the building of trusting relationships with all different aspects of myself, keeping my own word to myself, and really being able to support myself in all different aspects of life, as well as hold space for myself when I am struggling, when I need support on any level. And then the second part is trusting in something larger than myself. And that is the soul and life aspect of our experience. So I'm going to explore with you those two aspects of trust as I've been working with it over the last 30 years. And as I teach in our trauma-informed somatic teacher and coach for women training certification and in my other programs. But before we do that, I'd like to invite you to first check in with yourself. So as always, you can check in with yourself, whatever it is that you are doing, whether you are out for a walk, whether it is that you are driving and listening to the audio recording of the show, or whether it is that you are doing something else or just simply relaxing. Take a moment, feel the support underneath you, whether it is the support underneath your feet or behind your back or underneath your sitting bones. Take a moment to look around you, orient within your immediate environment. Just taking few moments to reconnect with yourself, to check in with yourself. Asking yourself, how am I in this moment? What's going on for me right here, right now? And what it is that I need. What it is that I need to move a little bit more towards more stability and ease and connection and be more present here, right now. So take a moment and do this. This is one of the foundational practices that I teach within our training certification. It's such a simple practice, and yet it can be profoundly life-changing. That one simple practice that can take you towards more trusting yourself, towards building a better, more trusting relationship with yourself and different parts of you, different aspects of you. And once you've done that, let me take you on a little exploration of trust. When I look back over my own journey over the last 30 years of doing loads of different things, training, studying, practicing, working with thousands of clients, I can see that the times where I felt most resourced, most creative, most able to engage in my personal and professional life are the times where I was most trusting myself. When the trust is missing, and I'm talking now from my own perspective and also from my experience of working with thousands of clients, when the trust is missing, we tend to push ourselves, which often leads to overworking, overgiving. We don't have clear boundaries. We don't have a clear sense of what's right or wrong for us. And we tend to numb out. in many various different ways. That could be through substances, that could be through food, that could be through relationships. And we get lost in a sense of self-doubt. We doubt our ability. We doubt our expertise. We doubt our skills. We doubt our gifts. We doubt our path. We doubt everything about ourselves. And we doubt, of course, other people and life itself. The first thing that is true when we are in that kind of space is that we are exhausted. We get very tired because it actually costs us a lot of energy to go against ourselves, because we are creating this inner conflict, inner war within ourselves. And it pulls us out of alignment with what's most important to us, out of alignment with our values. What we really know in our hearts is most important, and the way that we want to live and work. And once we get so tired and disconnected from our soul's calling, from our inner wisdom, innate wisdom, that embodied wisdom within us, it can really quickly lead to burnout. Because we know, inherently, we know that we are living out of alignment. And of course, the longer we do that, the more we are moving towards burnout. So if you have experienced burnout, you might be able to relate to that. I certainly have experienced burnout. I've watched my partner experience burnout. I've worked with many of my colleagues when I was working in social care, but also many women that I've worked with, that I supported and coached and mentored and trained, that have experienced burnout. And this is because of that sense of misalignment with what we know is most important to us and what we have to juggle in our daily lives. And that can lead really quickly into burnout. From a trauma-informed perspective, from the trauma-informed and somatic work that I do, I know that trust is something that many people really struggle with. And trauma in itself destroys the trust in ourselves, in others, and the world, the life, the world. And so when I'm working with somebody, I know that trust is not given. As a professional, as a practitioner, as a coach, as a trainer, an educator, I know that the trust is built slowly. The trust, being trustworthy, is shown and proven slowly, one baby step at the time. Because the trust is not given. The trust needs to be earned, especially with somebody who had their trust broken in the past. And for me, if I think about self-trust, it's exactly the same principle. If you've been abandoning yourself for many years, if you've been breaking your own word to yourself again and again, you will need time to build that trust. And it might take a little bit of time. It might be sometimes a slow process, but it is so worthy. So let's start with self-trust. So when I talk about self-trust, I'm talking about this grounded, embodying knowing that I can do this. I can learn what I need to learn. I can adapt. I can choose the path which I want to walk. I have the inner resources inside me, the skills, the gifts, everything that I've learned to date, everything that I experienced, my lived experience. And I have access to resources around me to support me. Resources like people, practices, spaces, communities that I can lean into when I need the support around me. For us as practitioners, the self-trust might mean trusting in our ability to hold space for a client. Even when the session is taking an unexpected turn or something comes up that we didn't anticipate, it might mean trusting in our skills, everything that we learned to date, and our lived experience, our inner knowing and our intuition that can guide us every step of the way. It might mean trusting that we can build a business that supports us financially and allows us to create the life that we want to create without burning ourselves out, without the hustle, without the constant grind. From a somatic perspective, for me, self-trust lives in the body as a sense of stability and being grounded, being present. Like our feet planted on the ground and feeling the support underneath our feet, feeling the support behind our back as we are sitting down, feeling the spine upright, feeling the chest open, our breath steady, our sense of presence being fully here, being engaged, being connected. I can feel it in my body as I'm talking about this sense of stability within my body. And from experience, I know when this sense of self-trust is wobbly, it really shows within the body. We can have the front of the body collapsed, our shoulders rounded. We might feel really tense. We might feel very rushed. We might feel like our body is a little bit shaky. We will feel not present and not connected, not able to hold space for somebody because we are protecting ourselves so much, or we completely lose ourselves in their story. We move too much towards them, forgetting about ourselves completely. So when I think about how we can build a sense of self-trust as a person, as a woman, and as a practitioner, it's important to remember that every single choice that we make, every single decision and every single action that we take matters. Those small promises that you make to yourself, if you keep them, every time you keep that little promise to yourself and you act on it, you strengthen your inner sense of self. You strengthen your self-trust in yourself. The other thing that can really help is celebrating every time you do something that you found challenging. For example, celebrating little wins and letting yourself to consciously acknowledge it and celebrate it, registering it within your body. Like, I did this. I found it really scary. I found it really challenging, but I did that and it worked, or it's working. The sense of moving forward, the sense of acknowledging every time we have those little wins. The other way that we can do it is by doing some somatic anchoring and really allowing ourselves to experience those times when we felt resourced and capable, and allowing ourselves to re-experience that state, the state of connection, the state of wonder, the state of expansion, the state of feeling grounded, feeling safe enough, feeling resourced. Every time you show up for yourself in this way, your nervous system and your whole being and your mind gets another point of evidence that you can trust yourself. So I want you to take a moment to reflect for yourself. Let's say over the last week, all the different promises that you made to yourself. Have you followed on those? Have you celebrated all the little wins, all the little steps, all the little challenges that you've overcome? And have you allowed yourself to practice re-experiencing of those resourced state on a regular basis? Take a moment to reflect. Take a moment to review without judgment. We are doing it to get a little bit more evidence. We are doing it for you to become more aware of how you're doing what you're doing right now. So now let's talk about the second layer of that trust. And for me, this is the relational aspect of trust. I'm talking about trusting something larger than yourself, something that we are part of, whether you call it source or divine or consciousness. I simply call it life. We are part of life. We are not separate from life. So for me, this is the trust that says, I don't have control over every single detail. I don't have full control over other people, circumstances, life, the weather, different conditions, economy. But I can allow life to unfold as it needs to unfold. I can take personal responsibility for how I show up within the context of life, knowing that life will unfold as it needs to. I can also trust that within this unfolding, I am being guided in a certain way. I call it energetic breadcrumbs. When I feel most resource, when I feel most at ease, most present, most connected within myself, and expanded to embrace life as it is on life's terms, then I notice those little synchronicities, those little whispers that are present for me, little coincidences of meeting people, having conversations with people, being inspired by other people. And that allows me to trust this unfolding of life. It allows me to really listen to those quiet nudges, listen to what's available for me, what's possible for me. I often think about it like the seasons within nature. Nature does what it does, and there is cyclical, predictable way of how the nature unfolds. There is spring, there is summer, there is autumn, and then there is winter. And after winter, the spring comes as well. There is no rushing of the nature. If I, as a human being, try to rush the nature, I wouldn't win. It often reminds me of the conversations that I had with my both grandmothers. One of them had a farm and the other one had allotments. And so often I heard from them that if you plant something before the last frost happens in the spring, your plants die. And so there is a certain rhythm, there is a certain pace that when we embrace it, when we don't fight it, but embrace it and do our best within that context, we have the best outcomes. So from the nervous system perspective, this kind of trust helps us soften that sense of urgency, this sense of anxiety, of pushing and hustling and forcing things. It helps us to relax a little bit. It helps us take a deep breath and settle down a little bit. It helps us avoid pushing so hard that often tips us into exhaustion and burnout. So here are some of the ways that you could deepen this trust. One of the ways that we can do it for me is taking a daily pause to notice what's in alignment and where you felt guided and supported. So for example, I do it every single evening. When I get to bed at night, I take a little bit of time to review my day. I notice where I've been pushing and notice why I've been pushing. What is the story that I've been telling myself? And I also notice and celebrate the times where things shifted by themselves, the times where I was picking up on those energetic breadcrumbs, the times where something almost magical happened without me having to do anything, where I felt at ease, where I felt like I was being guided and supported every step of the way. Another way that you could do it is to have a little synchronicity journal where you write down those chance meetings and those moments where the timing seemed really perfect, where everything felt into alignment without seemingly you having to do anything. Another way that you can do that is to really align your business with seasonal rhythms. Instead of forcing and hustling, to really embrace the seasons, to know which seasons within the year are the best seasons for you to embrace and step in and create and be out there, and which seasons you might need to step back a little bit to rest, to recover, to self-nurture. And understanding that also within your business, within the way that you work, within the way that you live, we are cyclical beings. There will be summer, but there will be also winter. And if you do not allow yourself to go through all the seasons, you might try to stay in the spring and summer, continuously starting things and being in a full-blown rhythm of doing and showing up. Whereas actually we need summer and we need winter. For me, it's always the same. It's a bit like in-breath and out-breath. Try breathing in all the time. You quickly will realize that actually that's not possible. So there is this sense of letting go of controlling so much, letting go of grasping and hustling into more easeful and more sustainable way of living and working. When you do not have this layer of trust in the universe or life, you will feel like everything is on your shoulders. You will work really hard, but sooner or later it will become meaningless. So I want you to take a moment to reflect how much of this sense of trust in life are you cultivating on a daily basis? When was the last time that you consciously allowed yourself to feel that expansion, where you allowed yourself to experience yourself as part of something larger than this daily hustle and grind and work and dealing with challenges and people and work and all your commitments? And if it feels like you haven't done it for a while, I would invite you to bring it into your daily practice, taking few moments every day, maybe at the beginning of your day and at the end of your day, to connect, to have that sense of expansion, of feeling yourself for few moments as something larger than yourself. This rhythm, this mystery, the sacredness of life itself. And maybe you can even ask for guidance in any words that are right for you, making it completely your own. And see what kind of magic will show up in your life as you do that. Here is one last thought that I want to leave you with. The self-trust and trust in life need each other. If you have self-trust, but you don't trust the bigger picture, you don't trust the energy of life, you can fall into hustling, trying to control all the time, and this constant hustle and grind and doing that so often leads to burnout. If you trust life, but you don't trust yourself, you can risk waiting in a very passive way for something to happen in your life, and you miss out on co-creating with life. That's where the free will comes in. That's the element of co-creation that comes up for us. When they are both present, it's like being a gardener. You prepare the soil, you plant the seeds, you take care of this space, you guard it from animals and birds, you water it, you tend to it, you pull out any weeds, you water it regularly, and then you trust that those seeds will do what they were designed by life to do. Because you know that when you plant the seeds, you cannot keep digging them out. You cannot force them to grow any faster than their natural rhythm. You cannot force them to bloom and provide fruit unless they are ready to do so and the conditions are right. That's your trust in universe in action. You work with the seasons, the weather, the time, and you take care of those little seeds and those plants. That's the sense of co-creation with life itself. So as we finish today's episode, I want to ask you to reflect on where in your life and business you have the strongest sense of self-trust. And where could you nurture it a little bit more? And where can you soften into trust in life's timing and life's guidance? So maybe you could place your hand somewhere on your body that feels supportive and grounding. Maybe it's your heart or maybe it's your belly. Maybe you can feel your feet on the earth, that support of Mother Earth underneath you. Take a moment to remember that one time that you felt deeply supported and in alignment, that sense of trust, faith, and alignment with yourself, maybe with another, or with life itself. Allow yourself to re-experience that felt sense within your body. Allow that experience to fill you up fully. From within, a warm, soft, comforting light. Remembering that this is the place from which you can grow, from which you can serve, from which you can connect with others, and from which you can create without burning out, without forcing, or without you losing yourself in the process. And if this is something that resonates with you and you'd like to explore more deeply, check out the information about our 160-hour trauma-informed somatic teacher and coach for women certification. In that space, we build not just the skills, but also we work with your own nervous system capacity and the deep inner trust to grow a sustainable, values-led and profitable practice. You can find the details in the show notes. And as always, I'd love to hear if there is something in this episode that brought up for you some insights. Send me a message or share some reflections with me. Thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up for yourself. And thank you for trusting me to walk alongside of you. Until next time, take care of yourself and trust your next step. Bye for now.